Hi, I'm Zelda Robinson. Thank you so much for joining me on this program today. Just want to tell you a little bit about myself and how I came to be in this business as America's mindfulness breakthrough expert. Well, my career began pretty much like everyone else, began in corporate America, in clerical. I always liked talking on the telephone. And I like communicating with people, so I thought, why not get a job as a receptionist? And boy, did I love it. I think I must have worked about 10 years doing clerical work and working as a receptionist. But after a while, you begin to think, what's next? And I was working at the Chicago Board of Trade. I had to be there at 7 o'clock in the morning, got off at 3, loved the hours. But something was missing, and I just didn't know what it was. So as time began to go on, I'm getting older, I'm not getting any younger, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do with myself? So I said to self, yes, I did talk to myself at that time, and I still do at times, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. What do I do now? So I left the Chicago Board of Trade and I went to Citibank, and I was a receptionist there maybe 6 months, and I'm thinking, I've mastered this too. It's time to move on, but I just don't know what to do. So I said, let me go back to school and see what I can discover about myself. So I registered at Columbia College right here in Chicago, and I took a photography course. And that just opened a whole new world of opportunities for me, but something was still missing. So I took a television course, and just learning the history of television was so boring. And then I discovered radio. And I'm thinking to myself, I can get paid to talk. I love to talk. I talk now without getting paid. So why wouldn't I talk? So I found my niche. Radio, here I come. Well, I can say that I've honestly been blessed with doing the kind of work that I love to do and get paid for it. How awesome is that? Well, I had my first experience in college radio at Columbia College, where I was attending classes probably 8 hours a day and then working in radio 5 hours a day. And I'd work from 7 p.m. until midnight. And that was, I think the name of that was called the Love Session. And I had so much fun. WCRX was 88.1. And it's ironic that the next station that I would go to would be WSSD, which is the blues station, which was also a low-frequency radio signal, which was also 88.1. And when WCRX went off the air at midnight, WSSD, the blues station, would pick up the signal, and we just continue from there. But some of that was recorded and some of it was not. But the public never knew. As long as they enjoyed the program, that's all that really matters, right? Well, the audience never knew that it was recorded because of digital and technology. We can do that now. We don't even have to be in the same room. If you look at most of the morning shows that are on the air now, people are in different places. The host might be in Dallas, like the Tom Joyner Morning Show. The host is in Dallas. Someone else is in Kansas. Someone else is in Arkansas. Someone else is in Los Angeles. So it just depends. But with technology, you can be anywhere and be all together at the same time. How cool is that? Well, at WSSD, I had the pleasure of working with some of Chicago legends like Richard Pegee, who has passed on. He made Dusty Radio 1390 his claim to fame, for lack of a better word. I also had the blessing of working with some other giants, Joe Cobb and Ty Wansley. And most of these were, and still is today, male-dominated, but women, we're still making our strides in radio. Kudos to Wendy Williams, who transitioned from radio to television, and now she has a major talk show in prime time on Fox 32, and she's syndicated. She's in markets all over the world, so it's possible. Anything is possible. As a kid growing up, I never even thought about being in radio, talking about possibilities, but that's just where my journey is taking me. And after I left WSSD, I moved on to WJPC, another strong song. That was their tagline. I love those Dusties. We're talking the Isley Brothers, Motown. And the great thing about it, we could play the kind of music that we wanted to play, so that really made it fun. Of course, we had a program log to follow, but nobody was really checking, so we could really get away with it. So it was a whole lot of fun. WJPC. We'll always remember that station. And it was owned by John H. Johnson of Johnson Publishing Company, so that was a first. Mr. Johnson, publisher of Ebony Jet, has since departed this planet, but he made inroads for lots of people, including myself. And then I moved on to WEJM, which was inspirational radio. I was working on the gospel side, so it was sold then to another media company, which was under V103, and V103 was a Dusty station at the time. So I went from there to WNUA, smooth jazz, which was my all-time favorite. Love jazz. Just love it, love it, love it. Now, let the record show, I was not on the air, but I was the executive producer for a radio host by the name of Denise Jordan Walker. And Denise was such a sweetheart. She let me practice off the air, of course, but it was a lot of fun. So I got a chance to see behind the scenes, which really enabled me in the Youth Empowerment Network, which turned into the Higher Learning Network, where we taught youth behind the scenes radio, television, and print production. So even though I wasn't on the air, it served a purpose because I had to use my writing skills. So you need a variety of skills to work in radio, as in any other field. You just have to be able to multitask. So you need a variety of skills. As you well know, in corporate America, you do need to multitask, and you do need to be able to do a variety of things and have a variety of skills. So multitasking is not new. And in radio, multitasking is the norm. When I transitioned from WNUA smooth jazz to WGCI, I went from secular radio jazz to gospel or inspiration, Gospel Radio 1390. And the style is different, and how you communicate with people are just a little bit different. So that's something that I needed to be aware of. And I was good at it, and it helped me a lot, especially when the transition came along from Dusty Radio 1390 to Gospel Radio 1390. Well, I was there for about 6 or 7 years, and then I began to write a book because in the back of my mind, I'm writing all these inspirational poetry, and I'm saying to myself, I think I need to get the word out there. So social media wasn't around then, but a friend of mine, a coworker in radio, said, "You write a lot of good stuff. Why don't you make a book?" And I'm thinking, how can I possibly ever write a book? I don't have a PhD. Who am I? Nobody knows who I am. Only the people that hear me on the radio, and I don't know if that's enough to sell books. Well, all these crazy thoughts are coming in my head. And after about a year or so, I began writing my first book, Inspirational Conversations, Volume 1, and now I have Volume 2. But it was thanks to someone else who saw in me what I didn't see in myself. So that's why it's important that you surround yourself with people who believe in you and sometimes can see things differently. They can see things in you that you can't see in yourself. You must surround yourself with people who love you, may not understand you, but can appreciate you. And I appreciate being appreciated by those who sometimes don't understand me. But I said all that to say this. When I left radio, it was a very disturbing time in my life. I was retired involuntarily, and I'm thinking to myself, well, what am I going to do now? So I took on a brokerage station where I was still on the radio, and I had to get sponsors. It was a radio station called WCPT TALK RADIO. So while I'm trying to figure out myself and what am I going to do, I'm paying for this. And I'm thinking to myself, there's got to be a better way than chasing sponsors down to do a radio show. So in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, maybe I should go back into television. There's money there. There's always money in television. So I'm thinking to self, yeah, I'm talking to myself again. Why not? I have all the answers. I may as well. And those that I don't know will eventually come to me. I say to myself, what can I do in television? Now, this story goes back just a little bit about when I first wrote my first book, The Passion Principles, Pathways to Purpose, Power, and Profit. A producer from a local TV show had me on her show, and she said that I had such a natural talent for talking that maybe I should consider producing my own show to promote my book. Well, that sounded like a great idea for someone else, but not for me. Who am I? What do I know? So you see how the little voices in the back of your head will sometimes make you doubt yourself? Someone else saw in me something I didn't see in myself. And I thank her to this very day. It's a shame I can't remember her name, but I remember her words, and they touched my heart. And that's what's important. And because of her, I produced a television show, HLN TV show, for 10 years, for over 10 years. And it was such a wonderful experience. I had a chance to meet celebrities that I never would have met in my ordinary living day-to-day existence. Not that celebrities were the end all, but coming up as a child, everybody wants to meet celebrities. It's the American way. It's what we do. It's who we are.